Hi, I'm Adrian from Recovery Coach. I'd like to welcome you all here tonight to the Recovery Coach podcast. I suppose most of you know who I am at this stage. We run an addiction service all over Munster and Ireland, and we're here tonight to give people a message of hope coming up to Christmas time and talk everything addiction and mental health. And I'm honoured to have my good friend David here tonight with me as well. Hi Dave, how are you, boy?
All right, yourself?
Good, good. I never thought I'd see the day the two of us sitting in the room having a podcast. So I suppose really why we're here tonight for the first podcast anyway, you're going to ask me a few questions
Yep.
and we'll see how tonight goes. And I suppose really what the podcast is about tonight is my story, and I suppose what it's also about is how I not trumped over addiction, but I suppose how I came into recovery and started recovery coach and everything like that. So you can ask me whatever you want, Dave. Everything at recovery coach is open, honest, and willing. So we're just basically having a conversation tonight.
Oh, well. Firstly, anyway, what made you start recovery coach?
I think what I seen the need was, I suppose, when people are waiting to get into treatment, there is no place that they can go. Number one. Number two, there's no supports there for them or the family. I always speak about a window of addiction, and it's one thing in Ireland that I suppose really what it is, if when an addict comes to look to you for help, there is a short period of time where you can help them. And it could be 24 hours, 48 hours, or it could be a week where they're in the mindset of going getting help. And when the addict is going looking for help, if you don't have money or VHI in Ireland, you're waiting up to 6 to 7 weeks to get into treatment. So that's where we step in a recovery coach and help people.
Well, it's good, and you are flying. Look, you've helped me, and you've helped a lot of people along the way. So, well, was it tough to start?
Big time, because I got an awful lot of hate from, I suppose, people that are already in recovery. I won't mention any names or anything, saying who's he, what's he doing this, trying to start another fellowship. But at recovery coach, it was nothing about starting another fellowship, or it wasn't. What it was seeing the gap in the services where we run peer-to-peer led group supports. And I suppose it was never ever to start another fellowship. It's just to give people a chance to believe in and a space to go, even if they're using. We meet people at wherever they're at recovery coach, really.
And is it challenging? Like, I know
I
people.
absolutely love it, David.
Yeah.
I love the part where people come back to life, where people like yourself and other people that get a second chance of life, and seeing you smiling come into a room. That's why I do recovery coach.
And in the case when one of us slips or has a slight relapse, does that affect you in a way yourself, or does it bother you at all?
I suppose big time. As you know, I suppose I had a young fella that rang me one night at 12:30, telling me how proud he was going to make me his mother, and how proud he was going to make his brother Connor and his uncle Jerry. And the next morning, I get the phone call to say he's dead. You know, that does affect me. But I know people that relapse and make it back to the rungs like I did, and make it back to recovery facilities, that they have a great chance when they keep coming back, keep coming back. But it does affect me, David. It really, really does, especially when you come close to them.
Yeah.
When I make friends with them and stuff like that, and people say that at recovery coach you should keep it professional, but at the end of the day, what makes recovery coach so special? Everyone that's in my service has worked in addiction or been in addiction or a loved one in addiction, and yeah, we've been there wearing the t-shirt.
What's been your biggest challenge keeping it running within the last 2 years?
Well, obviously finances, David. Obviously there's days you get up and you'd hear this story about you or that story about you, because at the end of the day you're dealing with sick people. And what I hate about recovery coaches, when someone relapses and goes out and blames me and spins a story, that's what I hate. But that's part and parcel of it. So I suppose really, David, what I find hardest on a day-to-day basis is obviously financing it, because sometimes I pay out of my own pocket. I get a phone call wherever it is in Ireland, I'm gone up the country, could be helping someone. I pay for it out of my own pocket. Anyone knows me knows I don't drive, so I have to pay drivers to go to calls. So that can be challenging sometimes. Like, I'd be coming home to herself and she'd be saying like, "Where's the money this week?" Like, some weeks I wouldn't have it. That's the truth.
What's been the best moment since starting recovery coach for yourself?
On a personal level, I suppose it's seeing someone go into treatment and coming back out and use our service and telling their story. That's the biggest, greatest gift that I've gotten from recovery coach. And this, obviously, the second thing is opening my own charity shop in Bandon in West Cork.
Would you like to tell us a bit about your story and your addiction?
Yeah. Anyone that knows me, I suppose, before I ever started drinking or drugging, I felt completely different to my own family. I felt like I was adopted. I just didn't fit in. My mother and father worked hard. I felt completely unloved. My mother always loved me, but my father was just work, work, work. My brother was 10 years older than me. We never got on. So from a young age, I looked for love elsewhere in other families. So, like at the age of 11, I was getting minded by a woman who I ended up calling mum. And still to this day, I call her mum. Um, and my parents had picked me up from her house at 6 o'clock in the evening, and I'd be gone straight out to my next door neighbour's house, who ended up fostering me eventually, because I wasn't getting the love and attention at home. So I was very good at sports growing up, Dave. I don't know if you ever knew that. I was very good at soccer. I was very good at hurling. I was okay at football. But I love sports. It was my outlet. It was the only place that I could feel I could be myself was in the sports field.
Yeah.
But I was always the clown in the back of the bus going to matches, having the crack. In school, I was always a clown. And I just wanted to be out kicking a ball or poking a slitter off a wall. That's all I wanted to do when I was a young fella. I wanted to be the next Sean O'Halpine or the next Roy Keane. And I was very driven. But then I found drink. I found drink at 11 years of age. And I absolutely despised the taste of it. But I loved the effect of it straight away. Instantly, I was hooked. I got drunk the first night I drank. The feeling it gave me was absolutely unbelievable. Like, I gave me confidence to talk to people. It gave me that, it made me feel home. It helped me fit in. If you catch my drift, I just felt like I belonged when I picked up a drink. And I got sick after my first night drinking, David. I did. I was the boy going home, paranoid, brushing my teeth, eating potatoes, trying to hide the drinking. And I woke up the next day dying. But I knew that I was going to be going back for more because I loved the feeling it gave me. And that's how I started drinking at 11 years of age. And I would have started off weekend drinking. I lived for the weekends when I was growing up. 12, 13, I loved going out on the lash with the lads and, doing all the things young boys do at that age. But I never, ever, ever wanted to go home, Dave. Once I had one drink, I always got drunk. And then I found drugs, and that took me to a whole new level. I started off smoking hash at the time. It was all hash back then. And I used to get very paranoid after it. And I used to be robbing money from home, thousands off my mother and father, which I am proud to say. And I'd be robbing thousands at home, and I had a load of friends when I had a load of money, David. I could buy drugs. Would you believe I could never roll a joint? I always paid people to roll it for me. That I always paid people for roll it for me, and I used to be smoking joints upon joints, going to hop from school, drinking, drugging. Then my drug addiction sort of, I suppose, exploded. Then I found street tablets. I absolutely didn't know what I was taking at one stage, and by the age of 13, I was a full-blown alcoholic and a full-blown drug addict, David. I had my parents onto me about my drinking. I couldn't concentrate in school. I couldn't take anything in. All I lived for was drinking drugs. Every day I used something. Every day I drank something. And at 14, I suppose guards were starting to get involved in my life. My mother and father couldn't handle me at home. I was just a menace. I didn't listen to them. My attitude was telling them fuck off and, I'm fine, but I wasn't really. And I was sent up to Arbour House in Cork City, and I seen a counsellor up there at the time called Robert. And for 6 of the 7 weeks up there, I told him, F off, I'm not a drug addict, I'm not an alcoholic, I'm too young. And the 7th week, they got into me, into my head, and asked me would I go to a treatment centre. And there was methadone in my system, David, at 14. I didn't know what I was taking. I was just taking anything to get the buzz. Yeah. And I said I would. I said I'd go into a treatment centre. And the night before I went to a treatment centre, I went drinking on the main street in Bandon with a plastic cup, just full of vodka, drinking it straight with another lad that's still out there using the struggles to get recovery. And was found blacked out that night over unconscious in Bandon, in a playground by my brother and father, and I was dragged off to the guard station, and I pissed my pants, at that age. And I went up to a treatment centre the next day, and I done 1 day up there, and I left, and I said, I'm never again going to drink, I'm never again going to take drugs. And I meant it at the time, David, I really did. And I came out of there, and I suppose I might have went to a support group, and I thought it was nice people talking shit there, everyone was older than me, I was the youngest in the room. And I went back out my Murray way, and for the next 7 years, I was in and out of treatment centres, in and out of homeless, in and out of foster care. My life just went out of control in a way I could have never imagined, David, really, to be honest with you, Like the time of my junior cert, I barely got through my junior cert. I was doing my junior cert in school, and a teacher came up to me, and I was stoned out of my head. I know what you're after doing. Imagine that feeling when I was sitting my junior cert, and the teacher saying that to me. And I did not want to be there, but I didn't know any better. I had to go drinking, and I had to go drugging because I loved it. It was the love of my life, really. And it made me into someone, And, I had social services in my life at this stage, because when you're in addiction, you blame everyone around you. I blame my family, number one. I blame my tongue, secondly, and I blame the people I was hanging around with. And I had a good bunch of friends, David, and I had a bad bunch of friends,
Yeah.
And I went from gang to gang when I was younger, because I didn't fit in anywhere. But when I had drinking drugs, I fitted in absolutely anywhere, if you catch my drift, you know what I mean? So that's the way my addiction started, really. But, it took me to a place that I thought I wouldn't come back from, David, really. I thought I'd end up dead from my addiction, really. 15, 16, going to the underage discos. I used to be going out to the boiler room, Clonakilty in West Cork, and there's a school in Bandon called Hamilton High School, and I'd be up there 5 o'clock in the day. Like, this is how abnormal I was. Like, I'd be up there 5 o'clock on the Saturday drinking cans by myself, and the lads wouldn't come up till 7:30. Then we get the bus out to the disco at 8:30, 9 o'clock. I'd be absolutely out of my head, and I mightn't get let in. If I did get let in, I'd get kicked out, so I could go downtown underage drinking and drugging, And when I was out there, I found cocaine, which took me to a whole new level altogether. I loved coke, absolutely loved it, Dave. Day after night, once I took it, I got hooked. And I absolutely loved the feeling cocaine it gave me. It gave me a confidence. It gave me a sense of someone. I could talk to anyone. Because the other drinking drugs stopped sort of working. But when I found coke, it just brought me up another level. And I idolised it. Absolutely idolised it. And I suppose I was the only young fella at my age taking cocaine, really. And I went from weekend taking cocaine to every day of the week taking cocaine. From my mother coming down at 2 o'clock in the morning, I'd be sitting there with a DVD box listening to Tiesto, snorting lines of coke, thinking I was living life. It was just chaotic. I would have let a load of people try to help me through the years, but I wasn't ready to be helped, David, being honest. I'd guards trying to help me. I had counsellors trying to help me. I had friends, I had GA trainers calling to the house trying to help me. But I was not ready to receive any bit of the help, and looking back on it now, I wish I did, because it would have saved me so much hassle, and I suppose really that's my addiction, David, really is, and I suppose 18 years of age, I was a full-blown alcoholic. I wasn't living at home, I was barred from the family home. I was in and out of foster care from 16 to 18. I was in and out of health board HSE houses, and I moved to Cork, took a year out of school, and everywhere I went, my addiction got worse, I ended up in homeless accommodation in Cork by the HSE, and wasn't a nice place to be in, but, I still defended drinking drugs to the bitter end, absolutely defended it to the bitter end. And 18 years of age, I ended up homeless in the streets of Cork. I ended up in the Simon community. I ended up in St. Vincent's. I ended up that boy tapping at the College of Cambridge, smoking heroin, tapping people. My own father walked past me on Patrick's Bridge, didn't want to know me, and that's what drinking drugs does, Yep. And by the age of 21, I was destroyed, I couldn't go to a pub anymore, David, unless I was full of drink. I couldn't wash myself. I had no life, zest for life in me. All I wanted to do was die. really wanted to die. The paranoia, been in bed getting the rats, the DTs was second to none, unbelievable, and my head was tortured. But still, I drank on and drugged on for a while, but I wasn't getting the buzz. I wasn't happy anymore. You know, all my friends were moving on, going to UCC. I wasn't able to hold the job down. I was stuck in a rut, and my mother, who always had a soft spot for me, brought me back to Bandon, and I got a flat above the old Vodafone shop in Bandon in West Cork, and it was an alcoholic's paradise. It was full of shit, full of bottles. Couldn't wash myself at this stage. Couldn't get out of bed. I'd have to order drink into the flat. The door was always open. People could have come in and drank with me. Pub drinking was hardly done at this time. I just couldn't go out to face people. If I went out to the off license, I'd be paranoid. If I was getting drugs, I'd be paranoid. My head was gone, and I ended up in a horrible existence. And what happened with me was I went to a house party one night, and I was full to the gill of drugs that night, heavy drugs, and it was about 2 miles outside Bandon. And there's a funny part to it, I suppose. For the first time ever in my life, I could not finish the drink, David. It was like the drink and drugs gave me up. I had a bag of something in my pocket, and I threw it into the toilet and flushed it down the toilet, and I poured the drink down the sink, and I walked out of that house, and it was about 2 to 4 miles outside Bandon. And I walked in the road, and my head was gone. The trees were taunting to me, and there was a milkman called Thomas. I'll shout out to him. He's out in Clonakilty now, and he used to pick me up from that house party before. Any time I was coming out of that house party before, and he picked me up, and I went into bed. And they speak about DTs, David, I'll never experience in my life. I was getting sick blood. There was rats in the walls talking to me for the next 2 or 3 days. Couldn't even eat noodles, and that's all I lived on when I was drinking was noodles. And I suppose I rang my mother and I said, "This is it, ma. I'm going killing myself. I've enough." And the next thing I know, Dave, I woke up out of a coma inside CUH. I don't know who was standing over me when I woke up out of the coma. Bishop Buckley. He was a friend of the family. And whatever happened to me that night, alright, I said I have to stop drinking. I have to stop drugging. And I went into Tabor Lodge, and it was my 7 treatment centre. And I had a counsellor inside there that the first time I walked out, and the second time she was my counsellor, and she saved my life. Absolutely saved my life inside there. And for the 28 days inside there, anyone knows Tabor Lodge down in Bellagooley, there's a chapel there. I used to be crying every night up there morning to drink and drugs, because I knew it was finished. I knew the only thing left for me was jail or death, or else end up in a psychiatric unit full time, which I already ended up in psychiatric units from drinking drugs. And I came out of there, and coming down the laneway, is a big laneway in Tabor Lodge, I was excited, but yet scared. I was full of feeling alive inside me like I haven't felt like a long time. And I came back out, and all I did, Dave, was bury myself in support groups, you know, up to today. And there's been a lot of stuff happened, a lot of reasons, you know, to go back out drinking or drugging, or there's no excuse. It's just holding on, you know, hold on, pain ends, hold on, you know. So that's my addiction, David, you know. That's it, really.
There was another thing you touched on as well when you said you found street tablets, and what they're producing now comparing to what they were producing when you were on them is completely different. What's your opinion on that? Like with the mix of fentanyl and stuff like that they're sneaking into the street bar tablets now.
It's a different ball game completely to what I was taking back in the day. They're taking street tablets, Dave, and they're charge sheets straight away to me. People are getting in trouble. They don't know what they're taking. They're out of their heads, and they get very violent after them.
Well, even that, the overdoses as well that are popping up around the place. It's
absolutely
criminal, like.
unbelievable. Like we're in this city in Cork, we're in an epidemic. Like, do you know what I mean?
And there's nothing around for them to help. There's no service like so over in Scotland. There's using rooms where you can go in and you can sit by a nurse and they can watch you use. And I know now that mightn't be right, but at least it's somewhat of a safe space for the people that are out there in homelessness, and they're using like the tablets that are being sold on the streets are killing people instantly within taking them within 5 minutes. So there's nothing out there to control the people that are on the streets and that are really desperately in need of some help. Like, what would you think about that?
I personally think people, you're probably speaking about heroin centres, really, David, are you?
I probably am.
Yeah,
probably,
injection centres.
maybe.
I know there's one in Dublin, and I know there's a few people campaigning it from in Cork. Personally, I wouldn't be in favour of it. Personally, I'm completely against the methadone program. I'm completely against heroin because to me, I suppose, see, this is a touchy subject now, really. You've just asked me. But anyway, I'd be against it, David, for the simple reason is if you want recovery, you have to get recovery. I know there's people out dying in the streets out there, and I get all that. I I would be a favourite, and I wouldn't have been. Do you know,
Yeah,
it's a difficult
it
question.
is
for me
kind
to
of a
answer.
touchy subject.
It is, yeah. But I would be in favour of it to a certain degree, as long as you said it's nursed and stuff like that. But methadone,
From what I've read about them, yeah, they have been nursed, and the kind of windows, the mirrors are slanted and stuff, so they're always being watched. Like, I don't think there's anything in Cork at the moment that's anything like that.
No,
that
not at
people
all.
can go and they can use where they're not sharing needles
No.
or giving each other aids or anything like that. Like, it's what's happening in Cork at the moment is just people are using it and they're discarding it. They're discarding it in their own schools and in their own town where people are walking and they're seeing it. I just want to get your opinion and your view on that. Like,
I'm very passionate about the heroin addict on the street, or the normal Joe Soap heroin addict, and they put them on a methadone program, and the HSE put them on. They make money out of it. It drives me mad, because if I'm trying to get that addict into treatment and they're on 100 milligrams of methadone, you're talking 12 to 16 weeks to get them down to 40 mils to get them into a treatment centre that you can pay with your social welfare in Ireland. It's too long, David.
way too long.
Too long.
Yeah.
Too long. People are dying on the streets morning after night when they're looking for help. And I think it's absolutely scandalous, really. Do you know, like, there's an epidemic going on in crack in Cork, and there's an epidemic going on in heroin in Cork. But it's too long when you're on the methadone program, trying to get a methadone addict down to 40 mils, and trying to get a methadone addict off methadone. You should see the withdrawal symptoms through that. It's actually, to me, methadone is more addictive than heroin, David. That's my personal opinion on it, you know.
Right, what else? You touched on the suicide attempts, and you brought me down to where you once attempted it, and it's not a nice place.
Where was that?
Down on the bridge, up a bit from where your mum and dad's on the bridge, where that dark little spot is. So I need to touch on that, and how many times that you might have attempted it and been brought back by the people in Bandon. They would have been lows.
I was only telling someone the other night that I used to lock myself into the bathroom of my parents' house and run a bat, and I'd be after taking about 50 tablets and hopefully be KO'd. And my parents would have to ring the guards to get the door kicked in. There was times I got arrested and out of the bridle and walked straight into the river. There was times in Bandon I jumped into the river 3 or 4 times. I really, really wanted to die when I was out there. My addiction took me to that point, really, that I wanted to die. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, there was I was A&E's best customer for a long time, David. I shouldn't be alive. That's God's gospel truth. Like,
Look,
you know?
you're here to tell your story, and that's an inspiration to people out there. That there is a way out of it.
Like, I'd put it this way to you, I was in and out so much of, this is a funny one, out of CUH, a crisis nurse got involved in me, Rose. She was absolutely like another mother to me. She was absolutely brilliant. And I was shipped over to Madrigordy, a place called Trinacolo. I don't know if you've ever seen it when you were in Knock.
Yeah.
And another guard as well, that would have been good to me, Finbar. And he and a crisis nurse got involved in my life, and they organised for me to go over to Trinacolo. My parents paid for it. Cost big money, David, at the time. My parents did do everything trying to get me clean and sober, and I'm probably blessed to have parents like them when I'm looking back. Just a shout out to you. But I was shipped over to Trinacolo. I was full of D5s, D10s going over there, and I was brought into a house over there with Keith, a lad that had a house over there, and I went up to Trinacolo, and anyone that knows Trinacolo works for millions of people, but it wouldn't have worked for me, David. You had to be up at 6 o'clock in the morning, or I saying the rosary, walking around the place. I'm now a holy Joe now, and it's nothing against anyone, like, you know, but it wasn't for me. And then you'd be working all day, eating cold food, and anyone knows me, I'm a fussy eater anyway. But I was shipped over there, and I was there for 3 days, and of course Adrian didn't like the place and rang my mother and father saying I'm coming home, but my mother and her friend had to come over and pick me up over there, and they came over and picked me up. Who was shouting and roaring in the middle of the place, drinking and drugging over in Madrigordy, shouting at holy people and all that, and past. I was off my game, David. And I promised my mother the moon and the stars when she arrived over that time to me in Medjugorje, and we had to stop in Budapest in Hungary on the way home for a day trip or whatever. And we were in a hotel, and my mother and her friend Enler went out for a walk. And when they came back, I was found unconscious in the bed after drinking the minibar. Do you know, that's what addiction is. I promised my mother that I'm not going to drink, do you know, not going to drug anymore. And they're going out for a walk for an hour and the bear came calling me and I was unconscious. Do you know, that's what drink does, do you know, that's what drugs does. So it's a powerful drug. So yeah, really, yeah.
And with the time of year that we're coming into Christmas and how hard it can be, it's hard enough for myself losing my grand on Christmas Day. What was your message going to be to people that are out there at the moment struggling coming up to Christmas?
Talk, 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 talk. That's a powerful statement from myself. Talk. Because Christmas can be a difficult time. People are after losing loved ones. We met a woman a while ago, you know, and I'm going to dedicate this podcast to Liz after at the end of it. But we met a woman a while ago, and she lost her son, who was one of our service users. Yeah. So you can imagine what other people are going through at this time of year. You know, for the suffering addict out there, never give up. Never ever give up on yourself. I didn't give up. It took me 7 treatment centres to get recovery. You know, keep trying. You'll eventually get recovery. And to anyone that's feeling lonely this Christmas, reach out, talk to someone, talk to a neighbour, talk to a family member you trust, or talk to a friend, you know. And if you have no one, there's helplines there. We have a helpline. It'll be open all 24 hours over Christmas. Call us 087 608 9148, and Samaritans are there as well. But if there's anyone out there tonight or all over Christmas that is in addiction and wondering is there a better life, there is. Reach out, talk.
And going forward, 2026, what's the plans?
For me, our recovery coach.
Both yourself and recovery coach.
I'd love to expand recovery coach. Obviously, the dream would be to open up a treatment centre, but that's a long way off. But anyway, the dream is to keep recovery coach and to keep it expanding, and help more people. That's my really thing for 2026, really.
Just to expand, so.
Yeah.
Kind of stuff for questions now.
That's all right. I just want to, I suppose, on behalf of everyone at Recovery Coach, well done for you coming on tonight as well. And I just want to thank a few people, like, you know, and just let people know a bit about her service. We have a fantastic counsellor on board, Sonia. Everyone that goes to see her praises her. We have Con on board, and Kelly has gone on to bigger and better things, but Recovery Coach wouldn't be where it is without Kelly and Barrett tonight, and she knows that as well. And, you know, to the lads that are out there, day and day for Recovery Coach, Keane and Shane, none of it would be possible without you, Dave, you know. Our support groups, I'd like to thank all the people that rent rooms to us, you know, it's exceptional really, and our sponsors, thank you, because Recovery Coach wouldn't be possible without the people, and the support has been unbelievable. And I suppose I want to say one thing, you know, we're the only service in Ireland that if we have a family member in trouble, that we be at their door within 24 hours if we get a call, you know. And we bring people to treatment centres as well, you know. We bring family members to treatment centres to visit their families that don't drive, you know. We man the city river inside Cork City 3 nights a week, you know. No one knows that really, you know. But we believe in people at Recovery Coach, you know. We are not like Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, or Gamblers Anonymous, nothing like it, you know. But I do encourage people to go to their support groups, you know. But what we do with Recovery Coach is believe in someone, and no one is never too far gone, David, you know. So we do a lot, you know, and there's a lot to Recovery Coach in the background. People wouldn't realise it, but there really is to keep it going, you know. So I just like to thank everyone really, and you know, I want to dedicate this to Liz Ross tonight. Liz uses her family service, who has buried her son this year from addiction, and Liz, our thoughts are with all of you this Christmas. So happy Christmas, everyone, and stay strong.